Hello, my name is Deidre Loudon. I will be presenting a mini lesson on plot setting and sequence. It is geared towards an 8th grade special education language arts class, and my students are currently working on sequence of events in a story. But with using a graphic organizer, they wrote down the sequence of events of the story we read, and will be creating a summary based on that graphic organizer. My students read a story called The End of Lost Time. It's a frame story, which is a story with several stories inside the story. They focused on creating a summary for one story. It's the story of a samurai, and they used their graphic organizer, like I said, to create the summary. Plot setting and sequence. We focused, again, like I mentioned, on sequence and creating a summary. And sequence is the following of one thing after another, and summary is a brief statement or account of the main part of something. My Common Core standards that I used were literacy writing, produce clear and coherent writing in which the development, organization, and style are appropriate to task and purpose. Literacy writing with some guidance support from peers and adults, develop and strengthen writing as needed by planning, revising, editing, rewriting, and trying a new approach. And literacy reading, determine a theme or central idea of a text and analyze its development over the course of the text. My goals and objectives for this lesson were: students will create a summary using key details from the text. Students will analyze details to envision setting, and students will analyze the relevance of the setting. Like I mentioned, we used a graphic organizer. As you can see, this is a completed graphic organizer. We focused on the bottom, which was the last story of the samurai, and as they read, we would stop and fill in our boxes, since that's what we were using to create our summary. And we would try to give as much detail as we could. Being this a special education class, accommodations were used. Accommodations with special needs, students with special needs will work with teacher in a group discussing important events, and sentence frames were used. Here's a copy of our sentence frames. I made sure to point out who, what, when, where, and why of the story, so they would focus on that during their writing. And then you can see in the red box the sentence structures. Who were they, where were they going, what happened, and then what happened. Students used Google Docs to create their summaries, so I could see and edit what needed, and I could see which students may have needed more help or more accommodations. This is an example of one student who was in need of the extra assistance and used the accommodations. His sentence structures weren't quite as clear and coherent as they should have been, and so we worked on this in a group. Here is an example of a student who worked independently and was not in need of the sentence structures. He did very well by using his detailed graphic organizer to create his summary. That is the end of my mini lesson. I hope you enjoyed. Have a good evening.